Hello and greetings. It is me, Sasquatch, your boy. And I figured since I play a lot of Magic, I'd bring some Magic content to the channel. And here I give you Grixis War Crimes. And it is a war crime. It is a very powerful, complex deck, not because it's complicated to play, but because of how Wizards has added the crime mechanic, which is just literally anytime you interact directly with an opponent, that be target them with a spell, target a spell they control, target their graveyard, target their deck, target a creature they have, target them with an ability. It's just, with this deck, it's extremely complex because we are running creatures, legendary creatures that rely upon crimes. And as you can see, we have the deck here in front of us. First up, we have cut downs, because you always need to cut downs. Good early game removal, really good against mono red. We can sub them out sideboarding if we need to for something else. Tiny Bones teams up. This is really the big crux of our deck. Turn one, make them discard a card of their choice, goes to their graveyard, comes in. When it enters, or then when a legendary creature enters, when this is on the field, target opponent mills a card and they lose 1 life. Which we have legendary creatures, so it's great. Then we have 3 Tiny Bones, the Pickpocket, 1 cost, Death Touch. When he deals combat damage to a player, target card in that player's graveyard, we can cast that with any type of mana. It's the permanent. There are some fun interactions with this, with all the virtues running around, like virtues of pestilence or strength or whatever there might be. We can cast the sorcery side of those spells, since it is still part of a permanent card. Then when that's exiled, it's exiled for us to use later. It's great with Virtue of Pestilence, because then, or Virtue of Persistence, because we get a removal spell for 2 mana, and then we have a reanimation spell later on if we so need. Before we go for the throats, don't do anything with artifacts, but deal everything with every other creature. We have 1 Lazav Wearer Faces. When he attacks, we get to exile a creature. We get to exile a card from their graveyard, a target card. Then we investigate. If it's a creature card, when we sacrifice a clue, he turns into that creature if we so choose. So it could be a fun little thing here. More graveyard exile, more targeting, more crimes. Then we have Magda, the Horde Master. Whenever you commit a crime, you create a tapped treasure token. This is only once a turn. So if you have Tiny Bones joins up in and she comes down, she makes a tapped treasure token for the next turn, so you're up 1 mana. Now, if you play her later, like say turn 3 or beyond, you will then just have an extra mana to interact with them as well later on. So then if you kill a creature spell with that extra open mana on their turn, well, then you create another tapped treasure token, and it can get out of control pretty quickly. Sacrifice 3 treasures, create a 4/4 Scorpion Dragon with flying and haste. This can only be done as a Scorpion, or as a sorcery, so only on your turn. 3 Make Disappears, because we are in blue. We are Grixis. We are essentially controlling their hand and their library, which is important because there's a lot of scrying going on. We have 1 Vadmir Newblood. When you commit a crime, put a 1/1 counter on him. This only triggers once a turn. Then if he has 4 or more counters, he has Menace and Lifelink. So, comes in with Tiny Bones, any cut down, any spell, any make disappear, whatever. We got that, or any graveyard target. Then we have 1 Karavek the Punisher. When you commit a crime, we get to exile up to 1 black card from our graveyard and copy it. Then we may cast that copy, and we lose 2 life if we do cast it. So cut downs, extra Tiny Bones teams up if we need them, extra creatures we make a copy of it, go for the throats, anything with black in it. The only thing we cannot cast with Karavek is Make Disappear, which wouldn't matter, and Magda, which also doesn't really matter. It gets back some great things if we want to get rid of them later on. If we need to, for some reason, discard a Gissa or a Rakdos joins up, or a Invasion of Fiora if we so choose. We can get those back at a later time. He's not a great turn 3 play. He is a great turn 4 or later play when you have mana to cast these things, which then commits more crimes for everything else. We have 1 Lazav Familiar Stranger. Whenever you commit a crime, put a 1/1 counter on him, and then you may exile a card from a graveyard. And if it's a creature card that was exiled, you may have him transform into the end of turn. This is also only once a turn. So when he comes in on turn 3, if you have a Tiny Bones joins up, you can exile something from their graveyard. It's great on their turn. If you want to do kind of sort of a pseudo combat trick, you can block with him, kill something small, counter a spell, exile a card from their graveyard, turn him into a 6/6/7/7 dinosaur. He is fantastic against those big mono green decks. He is only a 1/of though, kind of like a little trick, just like Lazav Warrior of Faces and Kaervek the Punisher are. We do have 2 Lord Skitter, Sewer King. He's great because he will target their graveyard to exile, which triggers all of our crimes. He is legendary, so he will come in on Tiny Bones and trigger a crime. And at this point, you are causing a lot of just incidental damage when milling, filling their graveyard for your Tiny Bones to pull from. Then kind of a good combo piece, a good card advantage engine, Marchesa, Dealer of Death. She is our 1/4. She is just straight Grixis colors. When you commit a crime, you may pay 1 whatever. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand and 1 in your graveyard. This gets around drawing, so enemy or opponents' Shieldreds won't hit you. Anything that stops you from drawing won't stop you from drawing. You won't trigger those goddamn fairies. Let your opponent draw an extra card. This can happen as many times as you want it to, as long as you have mana. However, if you do leave some mana open, your opponent can kind of just guess that you do have some sort of interaction, which I'll occasionally just leave 2 open, making them think there's something else, just kind of faking that I have maybe a make disappear or a counter spell, and then just have like a cut down for a small creature of theirs to draw later on. It can kind of help prevent them from drawing other things. Then we have 2 Gissa Hellraisers. Expensive, 5 cost total, 2 black. Ward 2 and pay 2 life. A really good fucking ward. Skeletons and zombies you control get +1/+1. So only helps out Tiny Bones, the Pickpocket, and the zombies she makes, because whenever you commit a crime, you make 2 tapped 3/3 zombies. It only happens once each turn. So once again, if you can do it on your turn and their turn, I mean, you're probably going to do it on your turn because most likely you are going to have a Tiny Bones joins up by the time you ever cast a Gissa. Then we have 1 here, Invasion of Fiora. It's a battle. Comes down, 4 life, 4 counters on it. Destroy all legendary or non-legendary creatures. Typically, we're going to want to destroy non-legendary creatures. I was trying to I was struggling with what to put in here. If we make it that late in a game anyways, the destroy all non-legendary creatures will help us because we have our go for the throats and everything for their legendary creatures, which we'll be doing at that time. Path of the Perils is just too small for any larger creatures. We don't want to kill our creatures with anything like Deadly Cover-Up or anything like that. So this was the best option here. It's really good for game 1, kind of sizing it out if you can survive in that struggle against that Artifact Synthesizer deck or Boros or Mono Red, which we have plenty of sideboard options for that. Anyways, the land base is kind of expensive. Most of the rares are in this land base. We have 4 Blackleaf Cliffs. We have 4 Darkslick Shores. We have 1 Otawara. We have 4 Plaza of Heroes. We have 2 Restless Reefs. We have 2 Shivan Reefs, 2 Stormcarved Coast, 2 of the Sulphurous Springs, 1 Takanuma, and then 1 of each basic land in case we do get Field of Ruin or any sort of land destruction. Because once in a while, we will just need to have that copy of A Color of Land. Because if we are playing Plaza of Heroes and we only have out, say, a Darkslick Shores, or a, better yet, Plaza of Heroes and say a Shivan Reef, and we cast like a Tiny Bones joins up because Plaza of Heroes will let us make black because it's a legendary spell. Then we paid the blue-red source so we can pass Magda. Well, they come in and Field of Ruin us. We don't have that black source, but now we do with that swamp, so that's really important. Our sideboard, really just matchup specific. Duresses, Binding Negotiations, great against control. Binding Negotiations, good against combo decks as well. Specifically, you're looking at the Synthesizer deck or the Rush of Dread deck. Disdainful Stroke, negates. Control decks, anything with large creatures you want to stop. 2 Stone Brains. For a while, I played without any Stone Brains and some other cards here in the sideboard. The Simulacrum Synthesizer was always a problem, because if you did not get it with your Duress or Binding Negotiations, that was a problem. You can deal with 1-2 creatures a turn fairly easy. You're going to be making your own zombies. You're going to be blocking them. But when they start getting 3 or 4 a turn because they have multiple synthesizers on the field, that becomes a problem. That becomes unwinnable. So we have the Stone Brain. Turn 3, potentially remove their entire deck's purpose from existence, or any other combo piece if you just don't want to deal with it in other decks. 2 Unlicensed Hearse to deal with the Golgari reanimation decks, or there's even a Jeskai artifact reanimation deck. So, duressing or binding negotiation away those Simulacrum Synthesizers doesn't work. So Hearse combined with your Lazavs and your Skitters will take care of that. Brotherhood End, good against Boros, Mono Red. It'll also take care of the synthesizers if they're on the field, because you're just going to be destroying them. They're all 3, so they're gone. Then one thing I was thinking about, what else can we do against Boros Tokens? Boros Tokens is probably tied for the hardest matchup with Blue-White Control. Blue-White Control can just go longer because we are a mid-range deck. We are not set up good against it. It's token, and that we just have to take our duresses, negotiations, negates, disdainful strokes, and hope for the best. But Boros Tokens, Kembal, Profiteering Mayor, they aren't making just 1 token at a time. They're making another token later. They're making 2 tokens, 3 tokens, whatever. You are then going to copy those tokens and make them. Then every time you make a token, they lose a life and you gain a life. We are also making tokens incidentally with our deck as it is. Lord Skitter, we have Magda, we have Gissa. So we are going to be draining them and gaining life. We are going to be copying their tokens. It only triggers once, so they're going to be struggling trying to figure out a way to make a lot of tokens per turn to get that big Zerg through. But once again, you slow them down. We have Brotherhood End, and we have a single Path of Peril as well to deal with those Boros decks or Mono Red decks. Anyways, this is Grixis War Crimes. This is the second kind of tuned version I was able to come up with. It has been performing exceptionally well. Of the 10 matches I played for tuning it, probably another 6-7 matches afterwards. In recording, I lost 2 matches. In the 6 or 7 matches afterwards, I lost another 2. I lost 1 against Blue-White Control that I didn't have recorded, and I lost 1 against I believe it was a mono black deck, because my deck would just not draw a black source. So I was stuck with Magdas and just no black sources, which was brutal. Wasn't mono black? I don't know. Maybe not. No. It was a black white. It was just like a black white control mid range deck. They destroyed my Tiny Bones Jones up. So my Plaza of Heroes shut off of black, and I wasn't able to do anything because I just kept drawing blue red sources. So that is a problem here. Make sure you keep some Magda treasures in reserve. Those are extremely useful as well, because even though she's only a 3 of, I seem to draw her an awful lot. Mulligan strategy, you're going to want to try to get a Tiny Bones Joins up. That's what you're going to want to do. If you can get a Tiny Bones Join, if you drop down to just 2 lands, one of them's black, and you have a Tiny Bones Joins up and a Magda, you have a great first 2 turns. Go with it. Go with it. You will start to ramp up. Don't be afraid to draw with Marchesa. You might not get a chance to draw with Marchesa later on. She becomes an immediate target for the opponent to shut down your draw engine, because she is a powerful draw engine. You do anything to them, you can draw a card for 1 mana, and that is fantastic. You're kind of just replacing that mana with Magda anyways. So that is Grixis War Crimes. We'll go ahead and string together the 10 matches, one of which had someone just quit extremely soon, one of which I think they just salty roped for some reason. Might have just timed out, but it was the evolution of the deck from its initial creation to what we have here. And what we have here, I think, is the best version of it. It's a really strong base deck. It has a really good sideboard for dealing with whatever might come your way. Well, thanks for watching.
I've already read your thoughts. You won't stop. Become subdued. I will clear your mind. You can be made to obey. Our plans are beyond your comprehension. Organic minds are easily quelled. In time, all will witness Phyrexia's truth. Kabask, Imasahak. I will iterate. Surrender every last thought to Phyrexia. Emotions are distractions. Focus on the facts.
You'll be safer. Swords, to me! I've learned much during my travels. Let me show you. Strike fast and strike hard.
Everything you need. When top tech, literally everything you need. When you never get punished. When there's never punishment. Top tech, everything you need. Worse.
Anyone who harms my people must contend with me. You're done. I guess that's it then.